Tom's World Beer Tour, a podcast story featuring Tom Bowman and Tom Bradley. Now, crack one open and let the tour begin.
I don't know, before we got started and before we got the cameras up. Oh, you are doing it. You're doing your happy dance.
I'm not afraid.
I didn't call it a happy dance. I called it something else.
It's a very beautiful day today. It's 70 degrees in mid-Missouri. There's no humidity.
And it makes you want to dance like
We're
that.
on the screen porch. For those of you that are watching this, you can see my beautiful backyard behind Mr.
Bradley.
Bradley.
The beautiful dance. Oh my God, it's not beautiful.
No.
It's something. You know
It's
what it reminds me of? King
What?
Louis from the Jungle Book, the animated feature.
King Louis.
When the arms go up, or maybe it was Clyde from Every Which Way But Loose with Clint Eastwood. Yeah, that thing go. Yeah, see? Yeah. That was good. Which was set in California, probably in your neck of the woods.
Left turn, Clyde.
Bam. Just like that. Dude, this is so nice. We got fall weather on the first day of fall. If you're catching the podcast on Thursday, we're producing it on Wednesday. Today, fall arrived.
But this is a more glorious day than that, my friend.
It is.
Do you know why?
Why?
Because back in February, we did a show at our friend's Como Smoke and Fire, and it was my birthday, and we did a show on my birthday.
That's right. That's right.
And I turned 52 years old, and I'm a very happy, healthy 52 years old.
Yeah.
Guess what today is?
What is today?
Not my birthday. Guess whose birthday it is today, pal?
Wait a minute. Your birthday landed on a Wednesday?
Yeah, we taped it at Como. Remember?
So you and I, and our birthdays will always be on the same day of the week?
I guess so, because you gave me a present.
Yes. What did I give you? I gave
you
it was
me
a picture
of my bike.
Yeah.
Now I will tell you that I did not get you a picture of your bike, but if you will indulge me for a moment and you'll talk and maybe set the stage for what we're doing.
Okay, he put his headphone down, but I'm not gonna put your mic down. This isn't the first time you've left me alone on the podcast. There was that time at Truman's. He goes, I really got to pee, and I'm like, that's great. And then he goes, no, I really got to go. And he took the headphones off and he set them down, and I'm like, he's not doing this really, is he? And he got up and he walked away and he went into the damn men's bathroom at Truman's Bar and Grill in Columbia, Missouri. And I'm like, what the hell? And nobody got to see him walk in there. And I'm out there going, what the hell are we doing? And so I just sat there and filled for a little while. You have several things. What the hell? Don't say anything. Put your headphones on if you're going to talk. I'm not looking at anything. Put your headphones on.
All right, I'm back. All right, cool. Well, people could see me. I was right here in the bar behind me.
Good God, man. This is really a
So
celebration.
first of all, you and I both share the love of key lime.
Yeah.
And so this, my friend right here, is from Peggy Jean's in town.
Known worldwide.
This is a beautiful, freshly made this morning. And you'll notice it's pale yellow. So if you're listening to us, key lime pie should be pale yellow, not green.
Yeah.
Key lime pie that's green, throw it away. It's awful. Throw it away. It's not key lime pie.
Give it to a homeless
It's
guy
just
at
lime
the
pie.
corner that's,
No, because even he's going to
God bless whatever you
what
can
is
give.
this?
And he goes, here's a green key lime pie.
Like, what is this?
Get this crap out of my face.
You're a liar. That's a lime pie. This is key lime, and it's pale yellow. Look,
that's
it's beautiful. It's got the little happy birthday. By the way, this I want back when you're done because
you can have the happy birthday.
They almost
sign.
charged me as much for this as they did for the pie.
You bought that from Peggy Jean's?
I did.
You're like, it's a birthday. Put a sign in there.
I was already there.
That's really beautiful.
So I've got the pie.
That's amazing.
And I've got plates and stuff in there, and enough.
We're
going to
serve up,
so we can have that.
Good God!
All right. So happy birthday there, and then I got you a gift in the bag.
You got
Yeah.
It's heavy.
Yeah. I
Good Lord, man!
Listen, you gave me a very personal gift. It was a beautiful canvas print of my motorcycle,
and
which
I was on the bike nude.
It was
it was kind of personal.
It was like the Costanza from Seinfeld. He was doing,
out.
Doing the little boudoir photo.
This is.
Did you mention how old you are today? Are you willing to?
I'm willing to disclose that. Yeah, I am very, very happy. 58, 57 felt wrong.
Yeah,
57 was like I didn't like the number.
But you know what I like about you at 58? If people are watching
I'm 6 years older than you.
Well, you're always going to be 6 years older than me. 2, you're in amazing shape, I must say, for a 58-year-old man.
I'm going to be happy to share the secret with you, and I hope Deb doesn't mind.
Is it your wife?
It's sex, and you got to bang
well,
like bunnies.
You got to get that poison. You got to get that poison out, man.
You got to get it out.
You got to get that
you
poison out.
keep that thing in, and things go wrong. And for any guy who's listening, you agree.
Get the poison out.
Just talk to your whoever it is you're with.
One way or the other, you got to get the poison out. I don't.
Even if you don't know them.
I'm just saying.
You guys are ride sharing. Talk to them.
Get the poison out.
And
have I made it clear enough
Get the
Get
poison,
the poison out.
Now, I think that's part of my joy, and I get
Yeah.
to. Now, what do you got?
So first of all,
Good gracious!
I've noticed over the last year or so you found a love for a certain whiskey.
Yeah.
And this particular one, Four Roses Single Barrel, is one that you have said you like.
And I lean toward the bourbons heavily.
So I got
and this
gin.
is a wonderful bottle. This is
So there's
beautiful.
a nice, beautiful bottle of
That's
Four
wonderful.
Roses. And then that wasn't
And it's
enough.
with your help, I think, that
Yeah,
that I became
we're
a
getting
bourbon
there.
lover. There's more in here.
But I felt like this other one, too. I couldn't choose between the two. So I want you to have this one as well. This one's a little different.
Knob Creek smoked maple.
Ah.
Wow, I did smoke maple one year, and she loved it.
She loved it.
Yeah, she did.
There was a Hazel the year before. There was,
Yeah.
Broomhilda before that.
Hilda was good.
That's
the
right.
broom wasn't.
No.
That was bad. Which one do you like more?
I have not had the maple bourbon yet. I have a bottle of that Four Roses. I have about 5 different bottles of Four Roses
we
on my
just
bar.
we just polished off a Four Roses about 2 weeks ago.
Well, there you go. Now
and
you're ready to crack that one.
thank you.
Well,
This is
I'm just
amazing.
happy that you're coming over to the whiskey side a little bit.
Yeah, the dark side. if
Well,
you
listen,
will.
we like
That's
beer.
amazing.
I have gotten more into beer in our long friendship because of you, because I wasn't a huge beer guy, but I've gotten more and more into different beers and things. And
This
then,
is really something. This
Well, there
is
you
really. I told you before we got into the podcast this afternoon. I was like, "Hey, man, let's. I want to talk about some of the upcoming shows we're brainstorming
Yeah, we should.
about."
Let's do
And you
that.
go, "Yeah, let's do that right off the bat." Okay, as soon as we start, you go into this.
Well, I
birthday
knew
month.
that I had this going on.
I only thought you were going to give me crap about turning 58. I honestly did.
No,
and
I'm
here
honoring
we
your
go. Look
birthday.
at these gifts over.
I made a nice post today on Facebook with a beautiful little art
Was
picture.
it a heart?
No. You didn't see it? You
No,
didn't
I
see
don't
the
want to hear you
collage?
put a heart on for me.
I
don't
have
want
no
you to
heart
have a
on for you.
me.
No, I put a little.
I don't want you to have that.
I put a little collage of photos that people have seen of you and I.
No, I never saw this.
What?
Well, I don't know. I'm on Facebook.
Well, here's the post. I said, Tom Bradley, ready? I said, happy birthday, my friend. Happy to call you friend,
Okay.
broadcast partner, and more importantly, brother. Hope you have an amazing day.
Well, that's very nice.
And
That's
then
very nice.
there's
Does that
the,
mean that the heart, or is
Yeah.
your nipple getting a little? Okay.
yeah. And there's the picture. There's a little bit of glare
Oh
there.
well, there we are in our robes.
So we're in our robes, and we're at
I think
Log
people
Boat.
that listen to us on the occasional are like,
Yeah.
these guys are either gay or they
So
want
there
to
you go.
be gay.
There's
I'm not
there's the
certain.
picture. There's the picture right there.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
That is very nice.
So
All
there you
right.
go. All right. then.
One of my brothers from another mother.
So let's
Thank
get
you
that
very
out of the
much.
way, and happy birthday. And now let's
That's
talk about
amazing.
what we're going to do upcoming.
Quickly, because I don't want to delay our guest who will be coming
we have
on.
a good guest today.
We have a wonderful guest who is going to be choosing, by the way, our conversational beer.
Yes. Well,
So-
he should, because he kind of knows beer.
So I don't want to delay the choosing of the beer, which
No.
we delay our conversational beer way too much. So when I hit the music
do.
and we bring Jacob on, we're like, "Hey, welcome! Now, what beer are we having?"
Correct.
Get right into that, and then we'll talk about his credentials, and you're going to enjoy the conversation.
That's right.
All right. One of the brainstormers was, let's bring somebody on that knows something about selling these dispensaries marijuana, whether it's
Right.
recreational or medicinal.
Right.
You know somebody. Well, of course he does.
Well, I know somebody because I will say it publicly. I have a medicinal license in the state of Missouri for marijuana.
Right.
I buy gummies mostly. I do like the gummies, and I buy I buy indica gummies because they make me go to sleep.
That's what you use them for.
I do like a hybrid because a hybrid makes it feel like I had about 5 bourbons without drinking 5 bourbons.
Okay.
And then about 4 or 5 hours, I nod off to sleep. An indica gummy, 10 milligram, an hour.
Well, you really do know this stuff.
The last year or so.
But there's something weird about the dispensaries.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can come on and talk to us or not.
yeah.
I don't know.
I don't either. So I sent an email out to the local dispensary here that I go to. There's a handful of them in Missouri. And over the last year, it's gotten even better. So in the beginning, there wasn't a whole lot of selection because the state controls which brands come in and who comes in. And the prices were a little high compared to what my friends pay in California where it's recreational. It's about twice as much. And now there's a new strain that's out, or a new company that's out. And it's dropped the price down about $8, which is nice. And so I
Okay.
think the more that they come in, more supply, more demand, those prices will drop a little bit. I was told by somebody in the know that us going recreational here, the issue isn't really all the other BS about recreational. It's we're not prepared for the supply and demand. We're not prepared for the demand that this state would ask for if we were recreational.
Don't you think there's a black market? You know what? No, let's don't get deeper into this now.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
We think it makes for a great podcast.
Agreed.
For Tom's World Beer Tour.
I do.
We have the idea that in the fall weather we should visit around here at least one, if not a couple of our wineries. Now, these are not Napa Valley like we were talking with our great friends.
No, we don't go there
there
for the wine. We go there for the view.
This is for the views and the good times and live music.
No offense to the places that we're going to go to, but let's be honest, dude. You buy their bottle of wine, you give it to your friend, you ask for the bottle back, and then whenever you go out there, you put in Napa Valley wine and you bring it back out.
No, you don't. You don't do that. You've never done that, have you?
Never.
Would you like to go to a winery?
Yes.
Would you like to overlook one of the greatest rivers that the nation, the United States,
has? I'd like
has?
to go to either the A-frame or Les Bourgeois. Probably more Les Bourgeois because they have a nice outdoor patio that's different than the A-frame. But they both overlook the river.
Yeah. Well, it depends if you want live music in the area or not, because that's a different thing.
So I like that.
What are the other brainstorms we have?
Ramiro, our Cooper, the guy that makes barrels for Caldwell Winery, and his story about being the only master cooper in the world from the U.S. and the only one of Mexican descent, and what his whole journey has been starting at age 19, 20 till now. Yeah. So I want to have Ramiro on.
Now, a lot of this is about...
And I got two other great ones, too.
That you can mention now? Oh, two other great...
I can. I got two other guests that will come on at some point over the next 5
Oh, you're not going
to
mention them by name.
I can if you want.
Okay, before you do, and then we'll go into our conversational beer and bring our guest on. Before you do, a lot of that has to do with some medicinal and recreational substances, all right, that we just talked about. And that includes, we would like to hit a distillery or two that's around us as well.
Yeah,
all right?
Yeah, we'd like to do that
And
as
there are a couple spots near us that are more restaurant-ish, but maybe they brew or maybe they serve a lot of stuff. Yeah. All of that's in the same vein. We'd also like to bring on some people that have nothing to do at all, specifically with beer or wine or marijuana or anything like that.
That's sort of what the show was built on. I mean, a lot of people ask me if the show is all about beer, and I go, it's really not.
No.
Tom's World Beer Tour is really two Toms. That would be you and me. And beer is what leads us to great conversation. Every good conversation you and I have had has been at an event or at your house or my house, and we have some sort of
Somebody says, hey,
delicious
throw me one of
beverage.
those cans and let's sit around
And we
enjoy.
chat.
Well, I talked with J-Mac last week on my radio show. I cannot wait to have him on in a longer format program like a podcast.
Right.
He's going black bear hunting this fall. It's his first time.
Crazy.
And talking about it, I cannot wait to have a bear roast. I want him to nail a big boy and bring that
We're gonna
in.
roast a bear like a pig?
No, not an event called a bear roast. I mean, carve off that ass and put it in the oven and cook that thing up.
Have you ever had bear?
Ass? I've had bear ass a few times in my life. Yes, I have.
Let it hang for a second.
No.
Let people digest it.
I've never had bear, and he says
I've never had bear.
He says it's good, and we got to enjoy it.
It's got to be lean, though, right?
It's gonna. No, bears get fat, and then they get skinny. They do this every single year like that.
It's like me.
They're like on an Oprah diet.
They're just like me.
I shouldn't say that. That's wrong.
That's right. Just like me. So.
No, I wasn't gonna say.
Yeah, we got a lot of cool stuff coming up, and I have two special guests who one has guaranteed that they will come on, and the other one is leaning, and it will happen.
Well, when the one falls, the other one's going to follow.
Absolutely.
All right. Do you want to tell us who they are?
Sure. The first one's going to be Kate Scott.
Yes.
Who I'm doing the broadcast with on the weekend. So if you're not checking out on Saturday nights, College Football Saturday Night, powered by Learfield on either Facebook or on YouTube, you're missing out on an incredibly fun broadcast. Golick, during the fourth quarter blowout last weekend of Georgia over South Carolina, which, by the way, 92,000 fans in Georgia Stadium. They can't spell COVID there. It doesn't exist.
They can't spell mask either. They go without the masks.
No, it was encouraged. There was a sign that said encouraged. Thank God we were up in the broadcast level and we were away from that. But during the fourth quarter, we were talking about different things, and karaoke came up, and Golick said, I love karaoke. And Kate said, you got a couple of go-tos? And he's like, Brandy.
No way.
And he starts singing it. I have audio of it somewhere.
That's mine.
And he starts singing
You knew that?
No, I had no idea.
Everybody has to have a go-to.
Looking Glass, right?
Yeah. Brandy, and then
by the way,
parenthetically, You're a Fine Girl.
1972, they were #1 for 2 weeks.
Yeah, damn right they were.
1972.
I've always loved the song. So when karaoke came out, I saw it one night, and I go, I'll get up there and nail this thing. And I did. And you've got to have a go-to that you know the lyrics, and you're not trying to read them. And Brandy, you're a fine girl. You can't do that.
He started singing it during the show. On the show. So...
Easy, we can get busted for that on the podcast. Thank you.
That's 8 seconds. That's enough.
Okay, that's all, and it's all.
So,
okay.
anyways, so Golick at some point will also come on the podcast.
So Mike Golick also.
Mike Golick is a huge beer guy. When we go to a restaurant, we usually go to a Friday night dinner, and me and him and Kate, and he will sit down and they will come over and say, "Can I get you a beverage?" And it's exactly what he says. Give me something local.
Exactly like
Sir,
I
what
do.
can I? What do you look at? Doesn't matter. Give
Make
me
it
something
local. Make it local.
And that's how it works.
And that's exactly the way.
So he's going to be a
that I
perfect
feel
guest.
as
And
well.
Kate Scott is an amazing female broadcaster that is getting ready. Her career is getting ready to explode, and she will come on after an announcement gets made here really soon.
Okay, don't tease us
I
anymore.
can say it.
But it'll be very soon.
But College Football Saturday Night on Facebook, College Football Saturday Night on YouTube. Do not miss this.
no,
I'm
go
telling
get
you,
the app.
it's
Go get
amazing.
the app called
The Varsity Network app. But that's only audio. But you
That's
can
all
get the
right.
video the other way.
I
But
enjoy
yeah,
it.
get
I
the,
enjoy it.
Get the Varsity.
It's time for us to bring on our guest and our conversational beer. And ladies
do
and
that.
gentlemen, from Craft Beverage Consultants and many other hats that he wears as well.
He doesn't have a hat on.
Well, that's true. He does not. But he's got a lot of hair. It's almost like a hat over
It's a
there.
hair hat.
He's got a lot of hair. We've got Jacob Halls joining us today. Hello, Jacob.
How are you
the hell
doing?
are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
Oh, very well.
We're lovely,
Very
dude.
well.
We're
This
in
is
my-
the effect of trying to get a haircut and telling you that
Yeah.
it's booked until the 24th.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
we can do that after the show if you
You
want.
grow hair fast.
Yeah. I actually asked Beth over the weekend, I just want to buzz it. She's like, no, I don't want to look at you with that, so I'm waiting for the actual professional.
Like, if just take the
Yeah.
shears.
I was like, I could just buzz it.
I was
Or
going
can
to
do it
say, we
myself.
could do it after the show.
Well, I'm cool with it. Now, you might answer to Beth.
No, I don't want to do that.
let's get into the beers so we can have those and
Yeah.
then talk about you. And you know your beer. We're in Oktoberfest season right now, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Which starts in September. You taught me that. And a lot of people celebrate it in October. But it
Because
is
it's called
it is Oktoberfest.
Oktoberfest.
Right. That's German.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Isn't the Sam Adams commercial Oktoberfest? It means we get to have fest in October.
Is that what they say?
Your cousin from Boston. That's what he said.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we don't have any from Sam Adams, although they do have an Oktoberfest, but
They
I
do.
didn't grab that.
But it's September.
So I went for three different ones. Let's go with the more local to start with, out of Kansas City. I think this came out in 2010.
Yeah, it's been around. Yeah, that sounds about right. It's been around for a while.
Boulevard Brewing and Bob's 47, which is an Oktoberfest. All right.
I need
There's
to write
choice.
that. I got to write that down.
No. You don't have to write it down
Oh,
yet. No,
okay.
we're choosing. We're choosing.
All right.
That's choice number one.
All right.
Choice number two, we're going to go the other direction, go to the east, and we're going to go to Urban Chestnut Brewing out of St. Louis, and there's Zwickel, which is absolutely a German.
Zwickel.
What is it? A German Pilsner? Lager?
Lager.
German style.
Yeah, and Florian
lager.
does a great job.
Didn't
with
even
that
know
beer.
her.
Yeah. And there's two more still to go through. I decided to go for imports on the next ones.
Okay.
And they're not necessarily Oktoberfest, but if it's German that you're looking for, then we're going to find that. So here's a Dunkel from
I'm sorry.
Hofbrau.
Say that again.
What?
A what?
A Dunkel?
Okay.
What's wrong with that?
Just seems odd to me.
Dunkel, I didn't know.
Dunkel.
I don't know that word.
I had too many brats and I took a Dunkel.
This is you're familiar with this beer?
Yes.
I don't think I can find a beer you're not familiar with. And finally, no one forgets their first St. Pauli girl.
Oh, the St. Pauli girl.
Now, I'm guessing you've already had your first St. Pauli girl.
Oh, I've had a couple St. Pauli girls.
I bet you have. St. Pauli is a district or an area.
I dated a
In
woman
German.
who looked like a St. Pauli girl at one point.
I'll bet you did.
6 feet tall.
Did she wear the dirndl?
I think once for Halloween.
Okay. St. Pauli is a girl is a prostitute, really, is what a St. Pauli girl
Once
is.
again, yeah, okay.
Okay, so here we go. 4 choices. Jacob Halls, what will it be?
I really like the idea of the local, and I like the idea of the Oktoberfest style. So,
So you're going to go with the Boulevard?
yeah, let's go with the Boulevard.
I'll be goddamned. I really did not know you would go for that.
Well, I'm just thinking, like, I like local,
All right.
and Oktoberfest is there. Zwickel's
All right.
a year-round beer.
All right.
That's true. That is very
That's
true.
cool.
And Bob's 47. The reason I think it came out in 2010, I think I was
opener?
turning.
Yeah.
I think I was turning 47, walked into a local convenience store and saw it, and I was like, you got to be kidding me. So I think it's now 11 years old.
All right.
As today, I celebrate my 58th.
Well, then, happy Oktoberfest. Happy 58th birthday, Mr. Bradley.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Cheers.
By the way, you're closer to 60 than 50. Wow, that's delicious. And it's from our friends up the road. And
Boy,
you
that
can
is-
get
that is
this
really tasty, isn't it?
for people that are listening all over the country in all these different states. Boulevard, pretty wide distribution, yes?
Yes, it does.
Well, they got picked up.
Yeah, they did get. They're now with Duvel Mortgart,
Okay.
and so they kind of have more of a international representation as a mother company.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not exactly familiar with how many states they're in, but I know I've been to Disney World, seen them in Florida, been in Vegas, seen them in Nevada.
That's
I
all
think
you
it's
need to
between
do.
like
So-
30 and 40
yeah, it's
states.
close.
I mean, if you got Disney World in Vegas, you've taken care of both sectors.
I think you got it all going for you. Let's talk about your credentials leading up to this, and how the hell did you wind up doing what you do for a living? You consult breweries and others like distilleries and wineries out there as well, and anybody else who wants to get in it. I think you've even started dabbling your toes. You got a green thumb now, right? Are you getting into any area at all with dispensaries?
Yes. Well, basically, what it came into is I was good at helping people with the federally regulated compliance issues.
Yeah.
And so, as our first actual dispensary client was in Colorado, and was when Colorado was opening up, they're just trying to figure out how to kind of, not so much on the compliance side, it was more on the business side. They're like, kind of, what do we do? And that's where and at the time I was like, I don't know, but let's find out.
So some of these people really know the science of growing a decent plant, but they're like, how the hell do we market this?
Yeah, and that's really what it was. You asked me to try to like name 4 different strains. I could probably name like Pineapple Express and a couple others. You know what I mean? Like
But the bigger issue is from the federal level is the banking, for instance,
Yeah.
right? Because it's still illegal federally, but not each state can control it. But you can't put that money in an FDIC insured bank.
Yeah, or accept like a debit card or a credit card. So that's why if you walk into one, you usually check your ID, and if you need pay in cash, they got an ATM in there, and everything's.
Well, I know when I go to my dispensary here, I can use my debit card, but they put a hefty charge on it. So I always go in with cash, and I would imagine that probably 90% of their business is probably cash.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah, big time. And so what happens
How
is...
the hell do they keep from getting robbed?
Well, this is what happens. They start hiring this high-end former military type security because they're duffel bags full of money to secret places with underground vaults. We're not making this crap up.
No, he's being dead serious.
No,
Like,
no. I'm
Yeah.
thinking this sounds like a great. Don't rob them. Don't rob the dispensary. Rob the guys who are picking up the cash.
Well, I
Well,
saw.
that's robbing the dispensary
Yeah,
at that point.
I'm just saying.
I saw a pickup in Denver, and like a Brinks truck rolled up, and 2 guys. I'm not like want to be able to tell you exactly what the type of gun it was, but looked like an automatic, like an AR. All right, 2 guys come out of the truck. One still stays in the truck. They go to the door. They go in. And they wouldn't let anybody else in the section. They went in. They came out. They had like 5 or 6 duffel bags. They put them in. They closed it up and then
5 or
left.
6.
Yeah, it was nuts. I was like, I've seen this shit in gang movies.
You're
It's just
talking,
you know.
You mean then when they start deciding they're going to go into this business, number one should be, where do we put the safe?
Well, that was part of the one of the conversations I had is like they actually ended up renting a very secure storage unit elsewhere in Denver that this Brinks truck would then take the money to.
Yeah.
And they had 24/7 armed guards and video surveillance at this facility. And when they paid their pay, like it was like that's their payroll, that's their bill. I mean, everything.
Wow.
If you, first of all, if you're not good at growing marijuana plants or any of that science, and you're not good at the marketing, go find a plot of land and build a storage facility like all these other self-storage places specifically for that industry and cater to them with high-end military guys, and you could charge a fortune to secure their money.
Here's to the guys of former military that
Who are making money
that are
finally.
dragging cash around our cities all day long.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that is a dangerous, dangerous job.
That's wild.
Now, a little less dangerous would be not the dispensary clients, but the craft beer clients. Probably a little less guns. I
Yeah,
would think.
that's well.
Not completely without
no,
guns.
not
I'm
without
just
them, but yeah, it's they can put their money in the bank, so
Right.
they can take a square payment and everything's good.
You've worked across the United States, but you've also worked overseas.
Yes, to a degree.
And yet you're back in your hometown where you started off and now continue to work across the United States. Probably a lot more electronic than actually getting on planes, I guess.
Yes, especially the past couple of years,
Yeah.
it turned into more could just do it remotely. Because the first time I helped someone apply for a federal license, it was 99. So everything the internet was there, but it wasn't what it is now.
You were faxing and mailing.
Faxing and mailing and all kinds of stuff. And it was like, okay, we'll get this back in a couple days. But I would literally have a stack of about 110 papers with all the little sign here's tags,
Yeah.
ship it off. They get it back to me, and then I turn around, make sure they did everything right, take the stickers off, put it in order, mail it in to the government, to the office in Cincinnati, TTB's office there, and hope that I'd get heard from in the next 2 weeks is basically what it was.
Maybe
Yeah.
in the next
Sometimes
2
the
weeks.
processing time, it was like, 24 to 30 days.
How did you trip and fall into this career?
I was a rebellious little kid, basically.
That's it.
Yeah.
You were stealing-
That's changed how? we
Nothing.
know you pretty well. It didn't change.
No, it's weird. Well, it's kind of a longer story, but I'll just keep it short. My father was pharmaceutical research and development for Johnson & Johnson. And European laws are a little more lenient for clinical trials on humans. So Johnson & Johnson
I'm
has
starting to put two and
has
two
a
together
plant
now.
over
Yeah,
in has a
yeah,
plant
I
over
see.
in Belgium, and they had one in New Jersey. Part of my dad's deal there, with them living over in New Belgium, was the kids could come over. One thing was once or twice a year
Right.
on the company to come visit. Well, I was still under 21 the first time I had gone to visit, and I came back with a lot of different beers that I found that I liked there. Mainly, they were like lambics. They were like kind of fruity. I actually thought a couple of them were wines. That's how stupid I was with the whole thing at the time. I was like, "Oh, this is a raspberry wine. It's
Right.
pretty cool." Actually, no.
And you're in Belgium, so you brought some chocolate back. Too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, something good.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, and so so anyway, I brought this stuff back, and customs was like, "Okay, so how old are you? Like, let me see your passport." And I'm under 21, and they're like, "Where are you taking this?" And I'm just thinking to myself, "Well, I'm taking it to the bar that I work at," because I was bar backing at the time.
Right.
And they're like, "Well, where's your importer's license?" I'm like, "I don't have one." Like, "You can't take this to a retail establishment without an importer's license." So they took it, and I'm like, "Whatever,
Right.
$80
So-
bucks."
But if you would have said, "I'm taking
Bastards.
this to my house," you still wouldn't
They
have been able
wouldn't,
to
yeah,
take it.
because I was under
Either
21.
way, you were screwed.
Yeah, and so I was like, "Wait a second."
What a party those guys had that night. They had all that imported
But
beer.
imagine this: with an importer's license, he could have walked through with it. They would
So-
have said he's fine.
So the light bulb goes off.
Yeah, that's where the light bulb went bing, and I'm like, okay. So I look it up, and I literally was in a library to figure out how to do this at the time because the internet didn't really
With
have
like
a ton.
microfiche or something. How'd
Yeah,
that work?
microfilm is one of those things.
No, it was I went to the law section and just was looking up alcohol law.
You were a 20-year-old in the law section of the library?
I was at a college campus, so it looked like I
Oh.
was smarter than I was.
That's great. And he's drinking imported beers while he's doing it, which
So,
is
yeah.
great.
So I
That's
fig-
crazy.
Yeah. So I called in. I found out where to get the forms. I actually had them mailed to me for the import license forms, and I started kind of that direction. And so the next year I come through, and I'm kind of waiting for this moment for them to ask me, where.
Yeah.
And here's my importer's license.
Look at you.
I'm good to go. But then it was like really dumb because I was like, I didn't have a contract with those companies. I
Right.
just bought their stuff at retail. I'm
Yeah.
not importing anything.
You
It's
were just a mule at that point.
yeah.
You
I
were
was-
doing exactly what I do when I go to California. Like this week, I'll carry my 12-bottle carrier,
Yeah.
and I'll go to liquor stores that have bourbons that I can't get here, and I will load up 12 slots, and I will literally pay retail and bring it back here and give it to my friends at the exact same retail price.
You really will do that this weekend while you're working?
Yeah.
You'll get out there and
Well,
buy
I'm going a
some.
day early. I'm leaving tomorrow.
Well, you
We're
got your shopping day.
this week we're UCLA at Stanford
Yeah.
this weekend. So I'm gonna go see the parents and Barbecue Matt. Him and I are going to dinner tomorrow night. We all know Barbecue Matt. So.
By the way, on a side note, in housekeeping, I completely forgot about the bad roadie and sexy bass player. So I just hooked him up.
Okay, but let me
with a
explain
beer.
something to these
Yeah.
guys. First of all, they've both been to this house before during
Sure.
the show. They both know that over my shoulder is the bar that we normally do the show at.
Well, they looked.
and the bar is full of beer underneath.
They
can
just
go
looked
get
like they were
beer.
trying to behave themselves. They're like, "Yes, Mrs. Cleaver,
That's
we're
just
fine."
dumb. Go get
I know,
beer.
I know. Well, they're hooked up
There's
now.
there's 100 bottles of bourbon 20 feet away. Go.
Easy. They will go and they will grab them up.
By the way, can one of you guys go behind the bar? There's plates and everything there, and we'll at least cut this pie.
Cut the pie. So you go from starting to learn how to research with the laws
Mm-hmm.
and where the forms are and how to apply for these things. What did you do? What else did you do over in Europe? Did you work out of New York City for a while?
Yeah, I kind of called that my office because it was more like for an import. That's where you wanted to be. So I kind of did like what you do
Oh,
at
thank
Buttonwood with a virtual office.
And were you? How old were you when you claimed New York was your
No,
home
thank
base?
you.
21.
You were 21 years old, working out of New York, but you flew across the pond.
Yeah, I did that a couple times, mainly because I was basically shopping for people who wanted to import. I'm like, hey, I got the license. Let's actually
you were-
try to make
when-
some money with it.
When you meet a girl and they're like, "What do you do?" You're like, "I'm an importer exporter."
Oh,
And
yeah.
a million people say that.
Yeah.
But you were actually
You really
doing
were.
it.
Did you get laid because of that?
Maybe.
Maybe.
It depends on if I close the deal or not. No.
It's all about closing
the
the
truth
deal.
of the matter
my friend.
was, is
Yeah,
it was
close the
literally one
deal.
of those I kind of fake it till you make it situations. So it was like,
Sure.
yeah, I'm an importer. Well, if they would ask me who my clients are, I'm like, I'm finding my first one.
Well,
But
there's nothing wrong with that.
yeah, so that's literally what I was really trying to do. And so I first was talking to a couple, like, it was more wineries than breweries, honestly, because then in the late 90s, craft beer was not really what it had become over the next
No,
two
no
decades.
way, no way.
So it was more imported wines and imported, vodkas from Russia and things like that. So it was
Das Vidanya.
basically just trying to find smaller companies that were looking to try to spread their footprint or get into the import game. Because if any of them were big and worth their salt, they had someone already.
This is amazing. It really is. And I've never even.
Pie?
I hear about people doing importing,
Pie?
and I'm like, I don't know how you get it started, and you didn't either, but you just faked your way through, learned it.
Yeah,
and
it was.
grew.
That's literally. It was like going in with confidence. It's like one thing that Beth really says she doesn't like about me sometimes is that sometimes my confidence exudes almost arrogance, even if I don't know what I'm talking about. Because you can sell something to someone if you're confident a lot of the time, in what you're saying, as long as you actually know what you're saying. So it's like I'm not just going to make something up and promise the world to someone that I can't fulfill
right.
on. But at the same time, it was like I know that as long as you want your product here, you can get here. Now, I had to learn a lot on the distribution side, meaning I can help you get you legal in the States, but I'm not going to be able to fulfill you. I'm not going to put you on a truck. I don't have a warehouse, all that other stuff. So I can bring you in and get you straight to a distributor.
So then you had to start going to distributors and saying, "Can you please start carrying my client's product?"
So that's kind of where it went.
Wow.
And since I didn't have a true warehousing space to bring in something and let it sit or come to rest, to like say maybe gain label approval or something like that, I kind of had to skip those ones over unless I had a distributor who's willing to like hold it for me. And then I was like, I'm not going to invest in a warehouse space in New York. I'm nowhere near financially
And
capable
how
of doing
old were
that
you
yet.
at this point?
I was 21 going on 22.
Going on 22. He's young enough to say he was going on.
Well, yeah.
I mean, Jesus. I mean, at 22, most people are like just enjoying beer for the first time,
Well,
not actually, importing, exporting.
Hey, by the way, this key lime pie
Oh my God, dude!
from Peggy Jean's is
Right?
killer.
So those that are listening didn't know what was going on. Those that were watching me cut and serve. The bad roadie went and got the plates. I mean, dude, this is an operation today.
How is he a bad roadie when he does everything he's supposed to?
We've had this discussion. He got the nickname Bad Roadie for a reason, and it sticks.
Okay.
Listen, you don't get the nickname yourself. You earn your nickname, and it stays with you. If you're a big fat guy and they call you tiny, they don't change it later down the road.
When you lose weight?
Nope. Still tiny. This is delicious.
This is so damn good. Now,
Oh my
does
God.
it go with an Oktoberfest
Of course
beer?
it does. And even if it doesn't, it does. I'm going to say yes.
That's really good.
Wow.
Really delicious.
So these days, here's what I want to ask. We've had this discussion before. Labels. Labels is a big deal, right? Because now, this is our friends locally, Logboat Deer Diver, right? So I'll hold it to the camera for those of you watching. Labels are important now because people visually want to see something on the shelves that intrigues them, right? Whether it's great artwork or a funny pun or whatever the case may be, right? But you can't just slap whatever name you want on a beer or a label on a beer and put it out to retail.
If you're going to sell it in your state only, and your state doesn't require to have federal approval, you can, which is why you can see some pretty crazy ones out there.
Right.
Sometimes a brewery will, especially now on social media days, they'll put something out there that they're going to have whatever copyright infringement, stout.
So you could have like D's Nuts Stout, and if you only sell it in Missouri, nobody cares.
Yeah, well, it's the,
If it's allowed in that state.
yeah, if it's
Right.
allowed. Like Missouri requires to have federal approval for the label.
What's a state that does not require federal? Because we're going to go make a beer there. South Dakota?
No, I think Iowa.
Oh, perfect. Right up the road.
Yeah, I mean, even brewers here, we know when they come up with a great idea, if it's going to be sold and distributed outside of their brewery, they have to get federal approval.
Yes.
And so, but if it's only going to be in the brewery, they'd be like, Mama, sweet hot tits beer. That can be.
The truth of the matter is, the feds, though, they don't check for a trademark or copyright, and they don't really censor a lot.
What are they looking for?
They're looking for the stuff the boring stuff that you feel is cluttering the label. That 12 fluid ounces, alcohol by volume, 6%. Basically, you got to make sure for consumer protection, you tell them how much is in here, what the alcohol is.
Right.
You got to have the Surgeon General warning on it. And then you also have to tell them where you see over here, underneath here for like logbook, it says where it's made. So who made it and where it's made.
Okay.
Because there's also contract brewing. So for the longest time, like Stevens Point up in Wisconsin, they're a contract brewer. Someone comes like in and says, hey, we need help.
Yeah,
Can you
they're like
brew all this?
MGP for bourbon.
So then someone gets really sick from it. They want to be able to trace where did it come from.
Correct.
Who made it. So it's like, okay, this is Tom Bowman's brewery, but it was made at Stevens Point.
Right. But they also have to make sure that they're not claiming something on the beer that isn't correct.
Yes, that is correct.
But the other thing, too, is at the federal level, they'll approve it. It has nothing to do with copyright infringement.
No, it's not their
They're
job
not
to do
giving
that.
you okay. So if the feds say, you're good to go, you could put it out and be sued tomorrow.
Yes.
But you went through this, so you had the governor's ale
Yes.
a few years ago, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, I did very little. What happened though?
But
is
you didn't brew it yourself. You went and got somebody to brew it on your behalf.
it's a little bit of a different direction. First,
Okay.
it starts from the brewer. They came to Jacob and said, we'd like to do something. And Jacob turned to me and he said, would you like to have your own beer? And I said, go on.
Yes, please.
And I was a little excited. I ran around the backyard 3
I
times. And then I
remember.
came back to the
Which is
phone.
weird because it's rocky and hilly and steep. I don't know how you did that.
So I said, yes, I would. So Jacob goes back to the brewer and says he would. Let's schedule up. So me, Jacob, and the brewer got together.
Right.
And we came up with an idea for the name. And then worked on, and you brought in the graphic artist.
Yeah, he was part of our consulting team.
And
Oh, my God. You brought an artist in to do that can?
Mm-hmm.
oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Nick Berg, he's actually out in Kansas City now.
And he worked with what the show's logo was and other things as well. And then the brewery filed with the feds
Yes,
to get it approved.
because they're the ones that were brewing it.
Well, at the time, the federal government had just gone through one of their, semi-annual shutdowns.
Right.
That's it. We couldn't agree on a budget. We're shutting down the government. And like, whatever. What?
Yeah, no beer labels.
They could
Yep.
not approve the label, so it pushed off our release date by over 2 months, I'd say.
It did.
Which changed everything. And we had retailers and we had advertisers. We had a lot of money that was invested in this on the I don't want to call it the backside, but behind the scenes.
Sure.
And we had to go to them and say, we're going to be late. It's okay. Just wait. It's the damn federal shithead government.
Well, because you had worked out marketing deals with a local retailer,
Yep.
Yeah.
and it was going to be in their stores
Yeah,
exclusively,
and
you were
multiple
doing on-air
restaurants and
promotion,
bars.
restaurants and
they,
tap.
they were bringing in the kegs, and they were
Yeah.
going to be serving that up on tap. We had tap handles made that you
Yep.
took care of,
right.
which was
Where,
beautiful.
where are those tap handles?
I have one.
I have one.
No, see?
I need one for the
I went
bar
in a
here.
tap house and I was like, hey, where is it? And I took it, so I made sure we at least have
This is
one
a
more.
great way to do it.
Who else has a
That
who has
was-
a tap handle I got to go kill?
We're going to have to ask around. That was a really cool experience for me. Day-old stuff for you is like, doesn't matter. I've done that a
No,
billion times.
but it's always cool from me because that's what actually I enjoy about it is because just doing the same, like any job, you do the same thing every day, it gets boring. But doing something like that where it became like organic in its own right to where it became a community event, not just because bars and restaurants were propping, retailers, everyone was having fun with that.
Well, there
So
were
it was-
stacks of his beer
In
at a
gas
local
stations, yeah.
retailer at the break times here in Missouri.
I'm not going to lie. When I walked in and saw the first stack of that sitting there,
I know,
I
right?
might have been packing. You know what I'm saying?
And honestly,
You know what I'm
For
saying?
Christmas that year, guess what we all got? We all got fucking 12 packs of that beer.
Hey, man, I give you a case. Come on, man.
I mean, it was nice. I still have some in the back.
the
It was a good beer, though. It was a good beer.
it was an amber ale.
I have one too. I kept I made sure I kept a couple of them.
I
Yeah.
do have a couple
Yeah.
just for posterity.
Posterity. It was an
right.
amber ale, which is a really drinkable beer. You can
Yeah.
chill the hell out of it, or you can serve it at almost room temperature. It's very delicious and raw. And thank
So you could drink it kind of German-like.
You can.
Warm.
Yeah.
Oh, Fallon Brewing
Yeah.
out of St. Louis. I'll never forget that meeting of going down there and sitting down with them. I think, and a lot of times in business, and this is really important, you need to get along with the people that you're going to work with. And that happened that day. Obviously, you and I get along. Our distributor we work with, you were working with very seriously at the time, is Shepherd's Distributing. And with knowing and helping to sell O'Fallon Brewing for a long time, I hadn't sat down with them. And to actually sit down in their otherwise boardroom, which is like a brewery, it's kind of a playroom. And to
So
sit down,
it's not boring at all.
it's
is what
not
you're
a
saying.
boring room. And to sit down and start talking and realize we're communicating, we're getting along, we're understanding each other. And we say something like, I really think it needs to be cans. And they say, we agree. And we say, well, what about the labeling and the show that we have to promote? And they say, well, here's the different beers we could go for. And I'm like, I want it to be a little more universal
So
than like a real hoppy IPA. I
Did
want
they have
something-
like 12 different samples of different type of beers, and you're like, this is what I'm going to attach my name to?
Well, we already knew the beers, especially Jacob. He knew all the beers really well, and I knew most of them. And
Right.
I knew the reality where I wanted to be, and the Amber Ale was right in that pocket. But I do remember we met for about an hour, hour and a half. When we walked away, we knew it was going to be a done deal. We had a couple of things to take care of and technicalities. But the two of us walked away into their brew tasting restaurant. And we started going through a couple flights of things and ordered lunch as well. Like, it was like 3 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
We finally got to have lunch, and we just sat there drinking their beers and talking and had a great meal. That kind of business, that's truly what you do business for.
Right.
If all you want to do is work and go crazy, go work for another company and do it. But when you work for yourself, those are the days you want to have.
Yeah. And that's actually where our kind of like we go to conferences and everything like that to try to attract new customers. But that's kind of what we switched to is it was business over beers. We tried to actually, instead of having just a booth with a table, we tried to shift
I'm
it up.
aware of the beer meeting.
Oh, yeah?
My
Yeah.
friend across the way,
Yeah.
every day,
Damn near
hey, I got to
invented
go
it.
to a meeting. Where are you doing the meeting at? Oh, I'm doing it at such and such a place. It's a beer meeting.
Yeah, and people are always like, that doesn't sound like you're really working. I'm like, do you know what I get accomplished
Yeah.
at about 4 in the afternoon?
Exactly.
But Doug, the sexy bass player, was with me
Yeah, he's over
last
there.
week,
Yeah.
and we were talking about a fundraiser, an annual fundraiser with his billion-dollar company, and we worked out the details. Meanwhile, I got a major office furnishings purveyor in our area that sits down the other side, and I say, Hannah, bring me a pen and paper. She does. I draw out what I need for my new radio studio, and he looks at it and he goes, what you need is this. And he goes, and I've got this, and I've got this. We put
And it's
this
on
in.
a cocktail napkin.
Yes.
Like they used to do in the 70s, like a power lunch with a couple of scotches, and they would just take the cocktail napkin. They're like, let me give you this offer. And then they slide it across the table, and you look at it, and you go,
The biggest promotion or step from one job to another that I ever had in my entire career was on a cocktail napkin. I sat down with one of the owners of my radio group, and we pulled out a cocktail napkin, and I said, this is what I want. And he scratched it out, and he goes, this is what we'll pay. And I scratched it out, and I go, this base with these bonuses. He said, your base, but these bonuses. And I put a check mark. I said, done. That took 45 minutes, and that was about 5 beers in.
Yeah.
And what was on that cocktail napkin became our contract.
Right.
Yes.
no,
Yeah.
we've done a lot of that kind
Yeah.
of stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you do.
I do it all the time, actually. We do
Do
a
you
lot of those
hire
things.
like that?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes. But I have a more important question. So you work with distilleries as well, right?
Yes.
And so if you can help him get a beer, how do we help me get a bourbon?
That's a great
How do we
question.
get the big gender bourbon is what I'm wondering.
Big gender bourbon? Did you just come up with that, or have you been like dreaming at night?
No, I've been
like you're
dreaming.
tossing and turning.
He's got sketches on the wall behind the bar.
Samantha's like, "What's wrong? Is it big gender bourbon again?" You're like, "Yeah."
At one point, our friends at Logboat, we had a little conversation over a lot of beers about doing a triple IPA, and I was going to call it the Week Ender, WEEK-Ender, meaning if you drink this one, you're done.
Okay.
And
All
it
right.
never came to fruition. It was a cool idea, and I think it would have been nice. The Week Ender. By the way, I'm copywriting that. Calm down.
I don't think
got
anybody's
it.
jumping at it, but go on.
But
Well,
there are.
sorry.
I'm just
Sorry.
saying. But we've got local distilleries and stuff. Like, what's a guy got to do to go kind of work a deal out?
Can he make that happen?
That's something that can be done, yeah. It would really, truly just need to decide, like, kind of which distillery you want to target first.
Sure.
And
You're a connoisseur, though. You're not just going to go to some backyard distillery and be like,
I don't give a shit as long as it has big gender on it. I don't care who made what
yeah,
swills in it.
but you're going to be promoting it and talking about it.
Well, yeah, I got to like it.
So
So I would say is like your better bet's to find like someone local.
Yeah.
Local to you could be
We
here
have a
or
local,
California.
We have a local guy.
But and then find the one that you like, and then talk about different variations. Like, do you want them to do a batch, like a couple, like set aside a barrel? So what I would
Right.
really do is kind of start the base. So it might take you a little bit of time
Sure. I got time.
because like it might be like a year one bourbon because it's not gonna you know.
course.
But then you add some stuff to the barrel, and then if like at the end of 5 years you got your own
But it's
flavor,
possible.
your own
What
mix.
you're saying is it's possible.
Oh, it's 100%
with someone like
possible.
you to help guide the process per se.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Would he like if you want to? What's reasonable? 12-year-old? Is that reasonable?
no.
8 years.
7.
7-year-old.
7 years
big
of
gender bourbon.
perfect spot.
And you
man.
don't have to wait 7 years for it, because
No.
if they've got like a spare 5-year barrel or a 6-year barrel, but
Exactly.
it all depends on what you want to. If
We
you're
throw
gonna
a
try
couple
to,
staves in there.
yeah,
and
whatever
make
you
sure
want to make it unique,
Yeah.
you might say, well, if you're going to do this,
Yeah.
you're going to want to let it soak for at least another 2 years, and so. But yeah, it's doable.
How do you think a distillery would want to get involved in this? Do they want to know their name's going to be put out there with Big Gender Bourbon? It's such a great handle. I'm already calling it.
It
Big
really
Gender Bourbon.
varies by the distillery and how they're doing. Some are just
So they could just say, no, give us $15 a bottle and we'll give it to
I'm
you.
Yeah,
thinking
but-
our friends at Tomstown in Kansas City and I should talk because it's already Tomstown.
Okay.
yeah. Some of them might just be okay. Yeah, we can do this, but this is our price for it. Done.
Okay.
Some of them might be like, okay, yeah, we want to get this big marketing campaign with you. We want to do this, this, and this. I don't know. It really, each business is different. Just like you talk to a restaurant about trying to get an egg on a burger or something. You know, like they're going to have different stipulations.
Oh, I know how to get
or
that
what?
done.
Yeah, I know
Yeah,
that's.
he knows how to do it. But now, for you,
I
to
got a
get,
guy.
for you to get involved in something, this project would not pay for you to be involved.
Well,
Correct?
it all really depends. Because if it's like, say, a distillery client of mine already, and they're trying to help, like with a marketing program, I'll be like, hey, I
Gotcha.
got an idea. I know a guy. You got some notoriety out of this. You got a lot of people listen to his opinions on bourbon. This can help you expose yourself to surrounding counties
Right.
in larger metro areas, maybe like Kansas City, St. Louis.
Sure. California.
Which
Yeah.
is interesting to have you go that quickly and answer it that way, which is just like me. And it's like, look, wait a second. I might need to help grease the wheels for something else, so maybe bringing them this thing is a great idea, and they like that. Not unlike the O'Fallon Brewing when they came to you and said, we'd like to do a beer with somebody in the market. And they had already done a beer with a radio show
In St. Louis.
So it was a major market.
Yeah.
They did it. And they said we could do it here. And we moved a lot of their beer, by the way.
Nice.
So in this market.
It was 100 cases in one run, so that's
Yeah.
that's good for the Columbia market.
How
Right.
did business go during pandemic? Did it go up? Did it go down? Did it stay flat? I mean, were more people?
At the beginning, we got very busy, but we weren't charging for it, which was philanthropic. But
I don't know
no.
if you're aware, but that's not how business works.
Well, no, but what it was, we were trying to help people stay
Yeah.
afloat.
Of course.
So we were helping people who had never done anything like a drive-through or a brew-through or any type of thing like that. Trying to figure out how all of a sudden your tap room just got shut down. That's 50% of your business. How do you adjust?
Right.
So we help people create.
So you
gift-
got to know the
gift card
laws in the
yeah.
state. That can you even do a drive?
And each state was so different, and as they
Right.
were opening these up, it was like literally there was a couple of things like, hey, when the health department just said this or the state just said this, you can now do this. So
because we were changing laws state to
Yeah.
state as the pandemic went on.
yeah, it was nuts. So some of our clients were all of a sudden going to those little bags that you can put a cocktail in, and they're just pre-mixing cocktails and sending them out.
Right.
Or some
That's
were,
an adult Capri Sun.
and then all of a
sometimes.
sudden, and then all of a sudden it was like, well, now you can do a 6-pack to go. So that opened things up again.
Uh-huh.
And then it was, well, you can deliver. So they all of a sudden their bar staff became delivery drivers from a brewery because they had a kitchen too. So they were like, okay, you buy a thing of cheese sticks or fries, and we'll
Right.
deliver. But here's your 3 6-packs.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, I know locally, and I won't mention the restaurant. I don't want to get them in trouble, but the roadie sody became a thing this past summer. It's like you go in to get some takeout, and they make you a cocktail to go with a lid,
Right.
and you could walk out with
Yeah.
said cocktail.
The places that were doing, let's say, 50% some level of bottled or canned sales out of the brewery, and the other 50% were kegs. Kegs went down to nothing, right?
Oh yeah, there was a lot of
Nobody's-
people whose the production schedule was they had like 2 vessels full. One was planning for can production, one was for keg production, and then all of a sudden they're like, okay, we need more cans. So they're ordering more cans. There's a backup on
Right.
cans because a lot of them are coming from China, and then everyone else is having the same
Oh
problem.
my God, China
So,
cans?
so it was.
Oh.
They're from all over the place.
Trump,
Uh,
Trump,
but there
Trump
was a-
didn't like China cans.
There was a problem getting
Yeah.
aluminum cans
Right.
during this
There
whole
was a
deal.
shortage.
And if you don't have a bottling line, you can't do a damn thing with glass.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And your infrastructure is not set up for it at all. Did anybody try to sell more kegs like to individuals?
Yeah, there's some of them. As soon as they were able, they put it out there. They were like, "Hey, you got a kegerator? We have some party." They bought party taps and they're trying to rent them themselves.
Yeah.
Because as soon as they were allowed to sell at retail, that keg is
Yeah,
just
you're
like
not
you go
going
on a-
anywhere. You might as well put this keg in your house and chill out for 2 weeks.
You
Yeah.
absolutely could.
And we also created some spreadsheets from some people. It was basically like, okay, this is how much you have left. This is your value of it, and this is when you say their code date for when it goes bad is. Here's how much you need to sell with this draft or get it packaged in a can or whatever until you just dump the whole tank.
Do you find that your clients, whatever it might be, a winery, distillery, or brewery, or maybe a dispensary we're talking about too now, do you find that each one, they've got different skills, so they come to you for one of the skills they don't have?
Yeah, it's a lot of them are really typically. This is what I always say: is I'm not going to be your brewer. I'm not going to be able to help you with recipes or any of that. That's your thing.
Right.
Usually, I'm helping with the compliance, the marketing, or the business administration.
Probably more compliance than anything else, right?
And-
I mean,
and-
the federal laws are tough to get around.
And what I always do, and this is always like this is some people say it's my detriment, is I help people learn how to do it because then they don't have to
you're
keep coming back to
You're
me.
teaching them to fish rather than feeding
Yeah,
them.
well, it's because like labels, as nice as it is to get $200 to help someone get a label done, and they got 15 labels for this season or whatever.
Right.
It's not that hard once you learn how to do it, but learning's the process. So I always try to go in with a teaching mentality. Like, I'm teaching you how to do this so you can do it on your own. Because also, when you start coming up with 15 different labels per month, it's just busy work. I got other more important things to do. So I want you to learn how to do this, and I can help you with some of the other things. Same with the excise tax calculations. That's accounting, but if you've passed Algebra 1, you can do it.
I'm out.
You know? So it's like one of those things where it's just help people. When they're getting started, though, they're still trying to figure out staffing and are we going to make a profit and how do we actually get the right amount of grain in, and just everything's a problem because they're just starting up.
Right.
So I try to just help fill in the gaps with what I know.
So coming out of the pandemic now, do we have a lot of breweries that have gone under?
There have been several that have gone under.
Why though? Because supply and demand, or just mismanagement, or
I think they're the ones that were on the brink of going away anyway.
Sure.
Personally,
so this was just the nail in the coffin.
yeah, it was, and some of them is also just the personal decision. They probably could have fought it out,
Right.
but whoever the ownership was like, this was a project of mine. This was a hobby.
But if you were doing more like keg, retail, restaurant, tap sales, and you weren't prepared to can or bottle, you were probably screwed.
yeah, and that's where a lot of people were pivoting real quick and trying to adapt to just the changes all the time.
We have a major event coming up in our area this weekend, which is Roots and Blues. It's a music festival. It's 3.5 days or
Boy,
something.
I hope they do well. They must be sold out.
I don't know if they are or not, but I will tell you, last year it didn't exist. And when they knew it wasn't going to happen because the pandemic hit, in February of 2020, and they come up at the end of September in 2020, they knew well ahead of time they weren't going to be able to have it. And they said they shored up everything and got ready to go a year without their major event.
Right.
And I thought to myself, I'd be pretty much of a bitch going through that for them. I don't know what you discontinue, who you let go, what rent you stop paying, because you're not going to have anything to keep that going.
I mean, I listen. We talked about it. I get it. College athletics, we didn't know if we were going to play games or not. Will we get through games? How would we do them? I mean, I totally understand. We thought we might go through an entire season. I was about
specifically of football.
I was about ready for a change of careers, and I was going to call a local company that I know people at to go be a freaking loan officer because I thought my business is done.
I thought you would call me and maybe be a bad roadie for my radio show.
I looked at what you pay, and I'm like, I don't know.
It's not very good.
It's
I'll be
less than
honest.
what we pay this guy.
I'll be
That's
honest with you.
zero.
There's zeros involved with mine there, all the way through.
Let's start at the beginning.
What's the biggest challenge right now? Because you have another career. This is not a full-time
Yeah.
career. I mean, I don't know if you want that out there, but it's out
No,
there now,
no, it was, but as the
But it's a-
family grew and
it's a
priorities
passion
changed,
for you
yeah.
to do this, and then you have this other gig. But what's the biggest challenge now as we not quite come out of a pandemic, but we're clearly out and about doing things more than we were last year? Are people ramping up faster? What's going on with you, and what's the biggest challenge with what you've got going on?
Well, the biggest challenge is honestly probably internal with the company because the way things kind of affected us during it is we lost that. Like a lot of the people we had, it was a team of a lot of consultants. We had we had specialties. We had a graphic designer. We had a trademark copyright attorney. We had someone who wrote for major publications, Forbes, and things like that to help with like storytelling marketing. And everybody was kind of like, okay, we're trying to save all our clients, but at the same time, we got to like pay my own bills. So we lost one person to become the national sales director at a brewery. Another person, she ended up writing her own book and getting that published and doing some things. A couple other people just went to go get other jobs not even related to this.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, no, okay, we had grown, and then now it's like I'm back to like I got to do everything myself. But our marketing had been built up to where we were advertising to everybody. We can help with all this stuff. So now sometimes I'm getting people who like, hey, can you help with this? And I'm like, I can't, but I know someone who can, which is a
Right.
good part of being a consultant. I still get to help them.
Right.
Now that you're coming on the backside of it, are you going to start bringing either those people or other people to replace them back in and building up the
As
fold
the
again?
yeah, if they want to and if the need comes back, definitely. Because that's the one thing is one thing I would say is a lot of times, it's a lot of people just don't know what they don't know, and then
Yeah.
once they learn it and they go, and if they sometimes people are also just ego driven. It's like they just want someone else to do it so they could be the face, and that's fine. But that's more high maintenance and more of like, okay, we're now your employee than we are just consulting.
All right. Who's more snobby, brewers, vintners, or distillers?
In what regard, snobby? Is it a general person or towards other like competing brands?
About the
Their
product,
product.
about their product and the
Who thinks their
industry.
shit don't stink is what he's trying to
Like
say.
not theirs as much as like wine,
Okay.
or whiskey or beer. Like
I would
1, 2, and 3, most to least snobby.
I'd say brewers the least snobby,
Okay,
in my
I knew
opinion.
that was going to happen.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I think vintners are the most snobby.
I was gonna say that until recreational marijuana hit big in California, because
well, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 then.
no, because recreational marijuana and wineries have teamed up, and you are having wine and weed pairings at places to where they're basically tying the two together,
How-
as well as some
Whoa,
cuisine.
whoa. How have I missed out on this on my Napa trips the last
But
couple
you
of years?
enjoy both these things.
Vi from Handwritten never once talked about doing a cab and a gummy.
Well,
No, I'm not saying they're necessarily doing on their premises because it is a federally licensed premises, but it's like kind of their marketing things.
Yeah.
There's a wine. My friend George Christie, who runs the Wine Industry Network,
Yeah.
he has a wine and weed symposium right there in Sonoma every year.
wine and weed.
It's literally it's. I mean, you'll find more about it. And
Isn't that?
You know who makes out at that symposium? The taco truck that rolls up later.
I mean, that's really weird because wine has always been, well, we have a better grape that we've worked on for the last 5 years. And they've always been like that. And weed has been like, dude, this is some good shit.
I just grew this shit last
well,
week.
yeah,
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's part of what happened was the craft beer movement came and it was kicking wine's butt for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it kind of got snobby for a little while, like wine. And wine was struggling. They're like, well, how do we
Right.
become less? What kind of detracted from us? And now some people are wine and going to stick wine no matter what. But to the new drinkers, the 21-year-olds, if someone's going to turn their nose up on you and what you choose,
Right.
they're like, well, I'm going to go somewhere where I'm like part of the crowd. And
Yeah.
so they
See,
kind of went to the
and I'm
beer
from the
section.
school of, listen, if you like Missouri wine, good for you, you're drinking wine. I don't, but you know what? Somebody does. Same with weed, same with beers. Listen, Natty Light, Natter Days, I've got some in my fridge right now. You know how many people give me shit about having Natter Days?
Well, some
I
people
love
are
it.
going to do that, but I don't think it makes any sense to jump everybody's ass because they're not drinking or smoking what you're
Yeah.
smoking or drinking.
Right.
Because everybody has their own flavor. That's like, what flavor of candy do you like best? What's your favorite candy bar? You're like, Hershey's. What the hell?
No.
Take it easy.
Butterfinger. Calm
Butterfinger.
Down. Calm down.
Butterfinger's a good candy bar. I'll agree with that. But I don't think there's any reason to get that way. But we do have snobs out there.
Yeah, there's some that are very much like, oh, you're drinking that. So
What about whiskey? What about whiskey distillers?
Oh, Jesus.
distillers?
They're the
I'd say
worst.
I'd say with the bourbon becoming much more popular as it is, to where it's probably hasn't seen this level of popularity
Ever?
forever, if not.
Dude, in the 90s,
long time.
bourbon was dead.
Yeah,
It
and
was dead.
and so now you have it to where there's like, I mean, you look at the chasing the pappy.
Yeah.
You know, people are dropping $1,000 for a bottle.
How about Netflix? We just had that special on Netflix where they showed Pappygate, where the guys were walking out with tons of high-end bottles.
My God.
But
Yeah.
it's the flippers right now that's ruining my industry. It's
And
the
that's what
damn
was going on
flippers.
with craft beer for a while. There'd be like a limited release,
Really?
and
They're
somebody would,
flipping it?
well, yeah, there would
Wow.
like so Perennial in St. Louis would have like the Sump and their Braxis bottles, so the release would come out, and then someone would go there, and they could tell who the mules were because there's somebody's like grandpa was in line to buy their limit of 4 bottles or whatever,
Right.
and then leave, and then all of a sudden you go to beertrader.com or whatever. I'm trying to remember if that's the exact website. You go find that bottle for $150 or $200.
Yeah, that drives me nuts. That's
So
not my
someone
deal.
who was not in that market area could still get it,
Right.
which is all illegal anyway because you don't have a license to sell alcohol. You can't ship over alcohol over state lines, all kinds of crap.
So Sam Adams just put out their, I think it's every
Utopia?
2 years, Utopia, and now it's up to $2.40 a bottle.
Oh, my God. For beer?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
a
no,
it's a
no,
30,
no.
They have it's like
Do
25.
you get a reach around with that
25
bottle?
or 30, 30. I think it's 30% alcohol, And so
I could drink 10% beers and be fine for like $8.
I completely understand. But the fact that they're going that high retail means people are going to try and get them and have their little mules.
Especially in
and
the
then sell them
states
for
where
$1,000.
you can't have alcohol by volume or by weight of that high, which I still
which
think is one
includes
of the
Missouri. We can't have it.
which is one of the
Wait,
dumbest
what's the
laws ever.
highest alcohol content we can have in a beer in Missouri?
Probably
it's-
upper teens.
I think it's
Like
18 or
18,
19.
19?
I'd have to double check because
yeah.
they change the rules sometimes with random
I
legislation.
don't know that you
It's
need
part
more
of it.
than an 18%.
Well, I'm
beer.
pretty sure I've had something around 17 here.
The way I
But
look
I've
at
never
it,
seen something over 20.
if you can have Everclear on the shelf, anything else should just be able to match
Where
that.
can
for
you
the
have
law.
Everclear on the shelf?
At the grocery store.
Where?
Oh, it's available on the shelf.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, when I was a kid, you had to go to. I lived in California. You had to go to Nevada, and somebody had to mule it back for you.
Well, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't that long ago.
No, I'm just thinking, for my opinion, for just consistency. If
Yeah.
you can have that on the shelf, then the other
Everything else
license
should be fair
because,
game as well.
Because a winery, a brewery, and a distillery all have different federal licenses. So
There
just
were
make it
somebody's
legal
going to
for
be at a
all of
ball game and open a Utopia and just sit there and drink
Yeah.
it and go, how come I'm getting so drunk?
Yeah, look-
Like, it
Yeah, but
doesn't-
30 Budweisers in the baseball game is totally fine.
them. Yeah,
Exactly.
That's And
And really expensive.
not only that, after half an inning, he's not going to be a problem anymore. He's asleep.
Remember, one Utopia is cheaper than 30 Buds at the ballpark. Just keep that in
That's a
mind.
good point. Not if they charge $240 for that bottle.
Good God.
What do
Yeah,
you think they're going to
what
charge
would
at
they
the
charge
ballpark?
At a ballpark.
$600.
No. You've got to mark it up more than that.
Oh, easy.
They're doing keg beer, and they're charging you $10 and $12 for a 20-ounce beer.
Yeah, they're
24-ounce
doing
beer.
probably a 2-ounce shot for $50 or something.
2-ounce shots. So we looked at it. I remember the ounces on it. It's, I think it's 24 ounces.
Oh my God.
I think it's 24
And it's just
ounces.
a special
so it's
base like bottle.
$10. It's $10 an ounce for Utopia
I'd rather
beer.
take the gummy.
And yours is $8.
No, well, let's see. I get 10 for $33, so like $3.30.
God, he really
And they're
does know these
11.6 grams each. Yeah, it's a better deal.
When we finish up this evening, I think he's going to be having himself a gummy. Is that right? I think.
No, I'm going to dinner with you.
Oh, you are going to dinner with me.
I am going to dinner.
We had beer and our dessert. Now we're going to go have dinner.
Now we're gonna have
which
dinner.
is an awesome thing. Jacob Halls has been our guest today. Man, we only scratched the surface of what you know about the industry.
I think he's got to come back.
All right, let's bring him back.
Yeah, later on in the year.
Sometime after the beer, the beer hunter, the bear hunter, and who else do we have still called back up? The bear trapper has to come
Bear
back.
Trapper
again.
has to come back.
And this guy who's built like a
Golick,
bear.
Kate Scott.
Yeah, and someone with a
Ramiro.
dispensary as well. You want another beer while we're waiting around?
This is
Sure.
a
We can do that.
podcast story. Tom's World Beer Tour. For future episodes, download and subscribe where you get your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeart, and Amazon Music. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Or send us an email at tomsworldbeertour@gmail.com. All content property of Tom's World Beer Tour, copyright 2021. No beer was harmed during this production. Only consumed.